Hello everyone, Andrew here, and welcome back to Rockman 2, where this time we will be taking on the final two Robot Masters, Quickman and Clashman. Or is it Crashman? Ooh, all these crazy kind of, inconsistencies between regions, which we will discuss more when playing Clashman stage. Although first up is Quickman. Quickman and Crashman were always the final two Robot Masters that I took on when I used to play this game a ton as a kid. I guess just because their levels were always kind of difficult for me, and just Crashman himself is kind of a difficult boss. Or at least he was for me as a kid, which again is another thing we will discuss. However, at the beginning of the level here, we have a very good opportunity to kind of show off the usefulness of item number 3, which doesn't have too many kind of opportunities to show off just how kind of practical it can be, but we could use it to ride up that wall here. Also, I said I would show off item number 2, which is a little rocket that we can stand on, and as we stand on it, it will deplete our weapon meter, and that is very useful for getting across big gaps, such as that one that we encountered back in Heatman stage, which is why many people will normally wait until after they beat Airman stage and get item 2 before beating Heatman, and I can totally understand why they would want to do that. It's not the easiest thing. Also, here we have the infamous bars of doom, which come across the screen, which is one of those things people will always bring out or bring up when they're talking about the difficult parts of Mega Man games. You do want to kind of stick to the right, because when you fall down there, it will give you access to that 1-up and the E-Tank, which I believe takes us up to 3 E-Tanks, which is pretty cool. Also, here we have this gimmicky part where we have these flame-throwing guys, and the room is dark, although when they're on the screen they light it up, but we need to kill them, so then it kind of goes dark again afterwards. It always seemed kind of out of place for me that they were in Quickman stage when they seem much more like a Heatman kind of enemy. But oh well. Nonetheless, here we have the second Bars of Doom part. You can use the Flash Stopper here, and it will stop these bars from coming and attacking you. But if you do that, it means that you will not have Flash Stopper for the boss, because it will typically run out before then. Once you start the Flash Stopper, there is no way to actually stop it until its energy runs out, I believe. Unless there is kind of... I might be forgetting something, or am I? I'm actually not sure, although otherwise... that part's pretty tricky if you do not have the patterns memorized. Also, it's another one of these guys who I just have no good strategy for killing you. You literally take like 30 hits. But the reason that we did not want to use the Flash Stopper back there is because it is actually Quickman's weakness. Now you might be like, Andrew, how can an attack that is not even actually an attack be anyone's weakness? Also, I kind of totally did not calculate for the fact he's going to bounce off the ceiling there. And you will see that as we go up here and select this, that once the battle starts, we will use Flash Stopper, and you will see just how crazy this is. Actually, people probably already know. I'm talking about this as if this is some kind of new game that like no one has ever played. But Flash Stopper itself will just slowly drain Quickman's health. As I said, in normal mode, in the North American version, bosses take twice as much damage from attacks. And as you saw, Flash Stopper there just took off half of Quickman's health. Although in normal mode, it will actually take off all of his health. Because again, twice as much. So that's kind of funny. Although, of course, in the normal Japanese version, we had to do things the difficult way. So it took off half of his health for us. Although we had to do the rest of the work ourselves, which luckily ended up going quite well. And for that, we get the quick boomerang, which I believe I talked about a bit when we were doing Bubble Man's level. But yeah, we will be seeing that at some point in one of the Wily stages. But with that said, we are down to the final Robot Master, which again, is it Clashman? Is it Crashman? Who knows? So of course this is, the Japanese version, and here it is Clashman. But in the North American version, it is actually Crashman. Although if you read the North American instruction book, it says Clashman. So it's like, what is this crazy identity crisis that is going on here? Nobody actually knows. Also, this is one of those perfect opportunities for Metal Blade. It's like, you are totally on my ladder, man. Please, give me some personal space. And what happens is that in Japan, L and R are kind of the same letter. I mean, Japan, the way it's like phonetic system works, it doesn't really have R's and L's. I mean, they're kind of the same thing. I mean, you have ra, ri, ru, re, and lo, and they're all, it's kind of a mix between an R and an L. And it's kind of a toss-up between when they're written in Romaji or in, Roman characters. if it will be, if the katakana or, you know, just any kind of the Japanese RL, if it will be translated as an R or an L. So in this game, they obviously said, okay, let's translate it as an L, but then I guess in the North American version they said that Crashman makes more sense than Clashman, and since R's and L's are kind of interchangeable, they kind of just went ahead and did it. So it's not really like a translation error, it's kind of just like the opinion of whoever translated it, I guess. Because honestly, it's not like Crashman or Clashman had a different name in Japanese. It was just honestly Kurashuman. So that's why it just got translated as an L in one version and an R in another version, because it's honestly kind of the exact same thing. So call it what you want. It's honestly not something worth debating for years about. Also, in the normal mode, well, I want to call it normal mode, in the Japanese version / difficult mode of North American version, those stacked can guys take 2 hits, or in easy mode, or in normal mode, they only take 1 hit, man. It should have just been called easy mode in normal mode, not normal mode in difficult mode, when difficult mode is actually normal mode. I could rant on about that all day, but we will not. Because we have Crashman stage going on here, and it's not actually the most difficult stage. It's actually a pretty cool stage, because it's like super vertical going on here. And you kind of have to kind of pick your path, and only one of them really leads to the end. Going left would take us to, what is it called? An energy power-up, but we don't really need it. I think there's also an E-tank if you go left, but we can get that by taking this side as well. Having metal blade here is super awesome, because you can kill these birds, which otherwise totally knock you off the ladder, and if you're too low, sometimes you won't be able to pick it up. My hand was actually off the controller at that point, because I was too busy making hand gestures that no one will ever see anyway. But yeah, you can just kill the birds before they even show up. You can also kill that guy, who we have not seen since Flashman stage, I believe. So going up the left side will take you to that E-tank, but we can still totally drop down and get it, and then because we have items, we can totally be cheap. We can also do this, and climb up here, and I believe this will take us to a 1-up. It does! Again, another very useful point to having Metal Blade, because he kind of lands right on top of the ladder. So yeah, the reason I used to do Crashman stage for, last as a kid is because I always had trouble with the boss fight. Because I've been playing NES for years and years and years. My parents had it when I was born, and when I was, they already had a collection of games like Mario 1, 2, 3, Star Tropics, Mega Man 2. And as a kid, I totally didn't really understand the concept of getting weapons and using them as weaknesses against bosses, like going into a boss fight and going through all of your different weapons and finding out which one they were weak against. I kind of just thought, okay, every boss is kind of, you know, weak, takes the same damage from different weapons and things like that. So, Crashman is very hard if you do not use his weakness against him. But of course, many years later now, I know that you can kill him with only 3 shots of Airman's weapon, so he's totally a non-issue. But back then, when you don't know, I was like 2 or 3 years old. You just don't realize, you can't make those connections. So that was why I always left Quickman and Crashman for last, because they are very difficult when you don't use special weapons. I mean, heck, as a kid, I guess the fact that I was able to beat it without special weapons is kind of an accomplishment, but these days, you know about it, so why not use them? With that said, though, we are heading in to the final... Or sorry, not the final. Yeah, well, kind of the final set of levels. We are done the 8 main Robot Masters and are heading into the Wily stages. Should you want to start from the Wily stages with, I believe, all 4 E-tanks, this is a password that you can use for that. Although, we will not be starting the Wily stages until next time. So thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and hope you're looking forward to kind of the end game. So thanks, and see you later.